Shabbat shalom, everyone. Okay, we're going to get started now. And we are on page 120 of our prayer books for the candle lighting. And Cheryl and Roy are going to come up here and light some candles for us.
Want to do the blessing together?
Yeah, let's do it together.
Should do the hand thing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Beautiful, thank you. Okay, I'm going to invite the Mutual Brothers up here. We are moving on to page 128 of our prayer books. You name my toe?
הנה מה טובו מנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טובו מנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, יאללה לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, יאללה לה 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 לה. גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, יאללה לה 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 לה, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, יאללה לה 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 לה.
We went to L'chairo D on page 138. And then we're going to recite paragraphs 1, 5, and 9. When we arrive on paragraph 9, I invite everyone to stand up, face the entrance as we greet the Shabbat bride.
לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. 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 שמור וזכור לי דיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המבחן. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, ושמו תפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך ומאורי. אורי, אורי, שידברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוקמונה עם סגולה, בואי כלה, בואי כלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
You may be seated. We move to 144 for the Chatzi Kaddish. Yitkeda v'yitkeda shemei rabba, be'elma divrach chirotei v'yamlik malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chayer chol beit Yisrael, bagala, uv'izman kariv, v'imaru, amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevarach, le'alam ulam me'al maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpar v'yipromam v'yitnasem, v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal, shemei kedusha barichu, le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran me'alman, v'imaru, amen. We move to the Baruch Hu on page 146, and when you arrive there, I invite you to stand with us.
La 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruch et Adonai, Hamevorach. Baruch Adonai Hamevorach, le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai Hamevorach, le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed.
And you may be seated. We move over to page 148, Ma'ariv Aravim.
Umavir yom, umevir laila, umavir ben yom uben laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamid yimlo, Aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, Amariv Aravim, umavir yom, umevir laila, umavir ben yom uben laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamid yimlo, Aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, Amariv Aravim, ya la la la, 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 ya la la la.
We now move to page 151, and I invite you to read the English with me on the bottom paragraph of that page. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What can be a true token of your abiding love than this of holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malachuto Leolam Vaed. 154. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meyodecha v'hayu hadivarim ha'ele asher anachi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinartam levarnecha badivarta ba'am v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'techa havaderech u'shofbecha u'vkumecha u'kstartam leyot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha u'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha Lema'an tizkeru v'atzik tomechol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim leilo achem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem meretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Naichem emet. Okay, we're moving now to page 158 from Micha Mocha.
Ya la 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 la, 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 ya 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 la 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 la. Micha mocha baili madonna, micha mocha bedar bakodesh, Torati lot oseh Torati.
And we move to the Shamru on page 162.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. בני ובין, בני ישראל, בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות nafash, Shabbat vay nafash, Shabbat vay nafash, Veshamru b'nei Israel et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
We've now reached the Amidah on page 164. When you arrive there, I invite you all to stand with us. Adonai Shefatai Tita Ufia Gitali Latecha. Adonai Shefatai Tita Ufia Gitali Latecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Eloheinu Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor, HaNorah, El Elyon, Yomer Chasarim Tovim, Mekonei HaKol, V'zocher Chasdei HaKol V'imalo, V'vidu Lav V'neinehem, L'man Shemo V'yahav, Melech Mashiach Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ezra Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Mechayeh Kol HaTorah Yoshia, Morid HaTa'al, Mechakel Chaim B'Chesed, Mechayeh HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim, Somer Noflim V'Rokeh Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umechayeh Emunato, V'Shenei Afar, Michamocha B'al Geburo, Umidon Elav, Melech Me'id Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, Ne'eman atah b'chayot hayom, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol. We'll now prepare silently until page 180. You'll be seated whenever you like.
Ose shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Israel, vimru amen. Ose shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Israel, vimru amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Israel. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Israel. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Israel. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Israel.
Hey, gentlemen. Okay, now some words of Torah. So this week we start the book of Numbers. And even though we have left the book of Leviticus, aka the priestly handbook, we still have not left the priestly perspective. It's believed that the same guys who wrote the book of Leviticus most likely wrote the first 10 chapters of Numbers. So same authors, different book. But Numbers does pivot quite a bit from Leviticus. The priests move on from holiness practices to logistics. It's possible that the book of Leviticus was a bunch of priests in Babylonian exile picking up their own utopian priestly society. The priests themselves will witness the destruction of their temple, and yet they aren't writing about the temple practices in the land of Israel, but the Mishkan practices in the wilderness. The wilderness narrative is an interesting choice for these priests. They write as if this was where they received their instructions on how to sacrifice. They are claiming that their rituals were first given to Moses and Aaron from Adonai, which of course authenticates their own ritual practices. And this is where I'm going to offer the patented, what I call the Rabbi Abram first and second pass on this situation. So the first pass goes like this. It's more academic. It's possible that these priests in exile developed their temple practices all on their own, and their practices had nothing to do with how the ancient Israelites practiced rituals at the Mishkan. Because it's possible that the Exodus and wandering narrative never historically happened. However, through the book of Leviticus, our exiled priests were able to retcon their practices back to the wandering Israelites. Retcon, by the way, means retroactive continuity. By showing their rituals came from Moses on Mount Sinai, they were able to standardize their practices, something that may have been needed before their temple was destroyed. There's evidence that priests changed rituals to benefit themselves, which is a problem I suspect occurred a lot for our ancient Israelite priests. Essentially, by choosing the wilderness narrative as the origin of the ritual practices, these priests in exile were centralizing these practices, which must have been super helpful when the second temple was built. The second pass is more of a traditional view, that these priests in exile are piously recording where their temple practices came from, that all the temple practices originally came from Mishkan practices. Since a whole generation of priests lived in Babylon and could not practice temple rituals themselves, they instead committed to this grand project of writing it down, or perhaps orally developing their practices for future priests. In the book of Leviticus, it's really easy to swap Mishkan for temple ritual practices, like sacrificing, since the whole book is mostly law with limited narrative. And so the beginning of the book of Numbers offers an important transition because it goes right back into the wilderness narrative. The priests still have more to say, when they finish their handbook. They now want to address their role in the wandering narrative. And it turns out that every Israelite is needed to address some of the unique problems of a portable temple, like the Mishkan. What was a swappable narrative between temple and Mishkan rituals now becomes a uniquely wandering narrative as the priests describe everyone's roles in this portable temple that is the Mishkan. And I often say that the Tanakh is a book about the Israelites becoming a civilization. And no one is more self-aware of this process than the priests. They knew that for them to have the resources, space, and time to perform their daily rituals, they would need a civilization to lift them up. And so from Numbers 1 to 10, they go about describing what this civilization looks like as it wanders the wilderness. And they start with security. Each tribe has a number of men of fighting age, and the book of Numbers counts them all. Furthermore, each tribe is specifically positioned around the Mishkan to protect the priesthood and the holy objects within the Mishkan. The 12 tribes orbits the priesthood the way the solar system orbits the sun. They design a whole civilization guarding one thing, the practice of belief in Adonai. With their defenses 12 tribes thick, I can't help but imagine that this was the kind of protection the priests wanted for their worship of Adonai while they were in exile. In Numbers, the priests conjure up 603,550 Israelites to protect their Adonai worship practices. If only they had that many people to protect their way of life as they sit there dreaming in Babylon. And these dreamers accomplish something incredible as they record their hopes for a future. They don't build a kingdom like the Babylonians. They don't even build a kingdom of heaven like what many religions do. Instead, they build a kingdom within time. Their boundaries are not set by geographical space or even by number of worshipers. Their boundaries are set by the cycle of years. They don't just make a temple portable through the Sinai. They show us how a temple can also be portable through time. That Judaism can be worshiped anywhere, as the ancient Israelites were able to worship anywhere in the wilderness. And how long can they keep their religion going without the main artifact of their devotion, a singular space to worship Adonai? Turns out, quite a long time. I'm not sure if they were the first to try this, but the priest's success speaks for itself. Here we are, 2.5 millennia later, still talking about Leviticus and Numbers. These priests cracked the formula for Adonai remaining ever relevant. Assyria, Babylon, Persia are all closed in our history books, while Judaism outlived them all. So as we read through the text, the next 10 verses of Numbers, I hope we can all appreciate what an incredible accomplishment our ancient priests provided for us and for Judaism. Thank you. We're now going to move over to the Misha Berach, the prayer for healing, which is on page 371 of our prayer books. Before we do that, I'm going to say the members of prayer of our community who are in need of prayer. Tina Mink, Chris Converse, Jennifer Eskridge, Ian Clift, David Tobias, Kitty Flagel, Lindsay Raber, Micah Purdy, Shirley Embriani, Laura Allen, Susan Super, Melba Cook, Emmy Webb, Stephen Lamp, Russell Crass, Bill Ross, Alan Friedman, Russ Nog, Ross Rumack, Norma Haas, Ray Ellis, Judy Cantor, Kel Riven, Diane Kaplan, Philip Coffin, Jane Anderson, Louis Mayer, Lillian Mayer, Margie Bauman, Ariel Lamp, Emily Weaver, Ginger Spiro, John Johnson, and Jackie Ertischek. If there's someone who you are thinking of who is in need of healing, please feel free to say their names out loud or in your hearts.
מי שברך אבותינו מקור הברכה לאמותינו, may the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing. and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberav imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We now move to the Elenium on page 587 of your prayer books. And when you arrive there, I invite you to stand with us. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding. Love each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech. May we never lift up our hands, but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace. We now turn to the Mourner's Kaddish on page 598 of your prayer books. And in our own community, we're thinking about these yard this week. Harry Gibbs, David Josephson, Julia Kuzowski, Anelia Kuzowski, Jeanette Levin, Francis Levine, Leo Tolkien, and Eva Welt. And we're at Pir Shoshim for Bunny Levine and Mary Jo. If there's someone who you are thinking of, please feel free to say their names out loud or in your hearts. Zugano Livracha, and then maybe for a blessing. Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, B'ilma divrach Chirutei v'yamlik malchutei, V'chayechon uvyamechon uvchayederchol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mivarak le'olam ulamei almaya, Yitzbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yipramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemeda kudasha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Da'amiran be'elma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleni v'akol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleni v'akol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, Amen. You may be seated. Okay, announcements. So let's see. Tomorrow we have our normal text study over Zoom at 10:30. And then tomorrow night we have our Shavuot program at 6 p.m., which is going to be we're going to study Jewish humor tomorrow night at 6 p.m. So they'll be right here. Please bring some tasty dairy treats and your sense of humor. And if you have some jokes, some Jewish jokes, bring those too. That's tomorrow. And then what else we got going on? Is that also tomorrow? Okay, Exploring Liturgy is tomorrow at 9:30 over our Zoom room. Great. And then, I'm always forgetting things. Morning Minyan, thank you. Morning Minyan on Wednesday, 8 a.m. on our Zoom room. And then, am I forgetting anything else? Yes, there's a bat mitzvah. I'm so bad at this. Thank you all for helping me out. A bat mitzvah is happening next week. Nora's bat mitzvah, which is going to be next Friday and Saturday. We're all so excited for this one. And then Adina's bat mitzvah is going to be happening on July 23rd, I believe. Yes, I got it right. Okay. Yeah, you're up soon, Adina. Get ready. Yeah. All right. I feel like maybe I hit most of the announcements, but you'll tell me if I didn't, that's for sure. All right, good. We're good. Okay. All right. So we're going to conclude with Shalom Aleichem, which is on what page, fellas? 142. Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech, Malachei Amlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech, Malachei Amlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Marchuni leShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech, Malachei Amlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzidkem leShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech, Malachei Amlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shabbat Shalom, Yom.